More details have been released as to why Molly Qerim abruptly quit ESPN. And when I say abruptly quit, I mean she left work, I think it was on Monday, and she never...
We've got to start with the money, because in 2025 at ESPN, nothing shakes the ground like a deal that crosses that $100 million line. Stephen A. Smith didn't just cash checks. He redefined the entire pay scale. His massive $20 million per year deal didn't just pay for him to shout on First Take. It bought ESPN's most unstoppable force. Monday Night Football, NBA Countdown, even those random network specials, Stephen A. was everywhere.
Oftentimes, when you have someone abruptly quit a job, they're not leaving on the best terms. Normally, it's polite to give your employer some kind of notice.
He became the walking billboard, the echo bouncing off every wall in Bristol, the man whose voice could make or break the ratings. All that money, all that spotlight, all that control, it crowned him the king of ESPN. But just when Smith's empire seemed untouchable, his longtime partner in debate, Molly Qerim, quietly slipped out the back door. No press conference, no farewell speech. Blink, and she was gone. At first, the whispers were small. Rumors that she might leave by year's end. Nothing confirmed, just talk. But then came the shocker. A sudden Instagram post in mid-September, straight from Qerim herself.
She was quitting right now. Both ESPN and Molly Qerim, they are trying to polish the... They're trying to make this look like an amicable divorce. And look, maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. Maybe they couldn't come to an agreement and they agreed to amicably part ways. I'm more interested in
ending her decade-long run effective immediately. No final week, no highlight reel, no teary goodbye. Just one last appearance, and then poof, gone from the set that made her a household name. And for anyone keeping score, Qerim's history at ESPN runs deep, nearly 20 years. She joined in 2006, grinding through digital segments, sideline hits, late night highlights. Then she earned her stripes, even an Emmy, before finally stepping into the First Take firestorm in 2015. If Stephen A. was the gas pedal, Molly was the brakes, the calm in the chaos, the one who could wrangle his energy into something watchable instead of a full-blown meltdown. By the company's official script, she was supposed to gracefully step away at the end of the year. Smooth transition, plenty of time for goodbyes, but that's not how it went down. Instead, she cuts the cord. No warning, no prep, no heads up. Viewers blindsided, producers scrambling, executives panicking behind the scenes trying to figure out what just happened. And right on cue, ESPN's president of content, Burke Magnus, races to do damage control. There's no controversy here, he insists in interviews. She just wants to do other things.
Molly is a friend. Molly is a coworker. Molly is somebody that I have leaned on many occasions in the past, as she has done when it comes to me. We've been partners on the show for the last 10 years.
He paints her exit as a simple career move, praises her as an awesome person, claims they even wanted to keep her in another role. He swears they'd already discussed her stepping down by year's end. No hard feelings, no drama. But the more Magnus repeats, "Nothing's to see here," the more suspicious it sounds. Because if this was really so normal, why did the news break before ESPN could even release a statement? Why were executives blindsided, trying to catch up to the story on social media? Something doesn't add up, and everyone watching could feel it. Something big was happening behind those studio walls. So why did Molly Qerim have to rush that sudden Instagram post announcing she was out? Because the story started leaking before she was ready.
Last night, she abruptly resigned as the host of the show. And to say that I'm quite sad about it is an understatement.
Word got out too early and she had no choice but to confirm it fast. Damage control in real time. And when ESPN's president of content, Burke Magnus, jumped in claiming there's no story here, that only made people more suspicious. When the top executive starts panicking to shut down the rumor mill, you can't help but wonder, what are they so afraid we'll find out? The emotional side wasn't any less messy.
Well, let's remember, what did just last week, Stephen A. was on air bragging about the people he stood up for to get paid and how many, Cam, I did for Shannon Sharp and I did it for this person and that person. And when I look at the abrupt, I'm not coming into work tomorrow.
Yeah.
That also is maybe there's pointing a finger at Stephen A.
The very next episode of First Take, Stephen A. Smith opens the show with what sounded like a eulogy dressed as an intro. He calls Molly a friend, credits her for elevating the show, and says, "To say I'm quite sad about it is an understatement. It was the perfect on-camera moment, part tribute, part performance. The gratitude felt polished, the sadness scripted, just enough nostalgia to make viewers believe it was all love and respect." But behind that smile, something felt off. Stephen looked caught off guard. Then, later that day on his Sirius XM show, he switched gears fast.
The other thing I thought, Steve, was when you pay Stephen A. Smith $20 million, that means, okay, well, whoever his co-host is, they're going to want an exorbitant amount of money. And so she may have been making $2.5, $3 million as the host. Well, when Stephen A. is sitting there making 20, well, maybe now she wants to make 10.
Suddenly, the warmth turned into caution. He told listeners that Molly abruptly resigned. His words, not hers, but quickly added, "The details are none of your business." Then came the kicker. It was a contract negotiation that was going on. That one sentence cracked open a whole new layer of intrigue. Smith insists he doesn't know all the details, but makes sure to repeat the word abrupt multiple times. Why hammer that point so hard if it was just a normal business move? If this was all routine, why make it sound so dramatic? Within hours, the internet went wild. Fans, insiders, and even former colleagues started piecing together their own theories. Emmanuel Acho, who used to work at ESPN, called out the contradiction live on air. He mocked Smith's double talk, saying, "Don't tell us you don't know the details, then act like you do know, but can't share them." It was a pointed shot that echoed what a lot of fans were thinking. Stephen A. was feeding the fire while pretending to put it out. And the longer he dodged questions, the weirder it got. His vague answers felt less like confusion and more like a careful cover-up. Viewers started calling him out directly on X and Instagram. "If there's nothing to hide, why does he sound so nervous?" One comment read. Others flooded Molly's last post with questions. Why leave after negotiating to stay? And why does it sound like ESPN already had a replacement ready?
Jason, I actually watched that whole video clip of Stephen A. Smith. I just thought it was funny. It ain't none of y'all business. It was a contract negotiation. Well, that was about the money. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks for cluing it. It's always about the money, though. It's like in boxing. Why didn't this fight happen? Easy. There wasn't a...
Because Get this. On the same morning Molly dropped her goodbye, ESPN was already promoting Malika Andrews' contract extension. Talk about convenient timing. That sparked even louder rumors that Andrews had been chosen weeks earlier to fill the seat before Molly even packed up her dressing room. Meanwhile, producers were left scrambling, auditioning a rotating cast of personalities for the moderated chair, trying to recreate that chemistry that only Molly could balance. It was chaos behind the scenes, and fans noticed every new episode felt off balance, like First Take had lost its rhythm overnight. Molly's own farewell message didn't exactly calm things down either. She hinted that the news came out earlier than I intended and not in the way I hoped. That single sentence sent shockwaves through the comments section.
I think we'll start with Molly Qerim.
She's out.
Yesterday when we talked, we knew that she was leaving, but we didn't know she was leaving like immediately, which is an indication that, man, this thing's a bit more complicated than just they couldn't settle on the money. It just seems more serious. She's off the show.
Fans read it as confirmation that someone leaked her story before she could control the narrative. Her Instagram story was gracious. She thanked the fans, the show, and ESPN. But then she closed with a loaded phrase: "Stay tuned." That 2-word sign-off said everything. It felt like she was teasing a follow-up, maybe a new project, maybe her side of the story. Whatever it meant, it left everyone buzzing. Because if this really was just a routine exit, then why did every move, from Stephen's strange tone to ESPN's perfect timing, feel like something much bigger was being carefully hidden in plain sight? Now, we're starting to see it. The cracks that expose a much bigger conflict bubbling underneath. This wasn't just a contract dispute. It was a power struggle in motion. Reports say Molly Qerim had been approached for new roles within ESPN, fresh opportunities that could have kept her in the family. But instead, she walked away entirely.
When I heard that it was immediate, I was like, oh, she must already have a job lined up.
Mm-hmm.
And the job that she has lined up must be some sort of competitor to ESPN. And so that made me, is she going to Fox Sports?
The way ESPN executives keep pushing the clean break narrative only makes it sound less believable, especially when Stephen A. Smith's own mega deal negotiations are happening right beside it. Think about it. Stephen A., in the middle of locking down a $20 million a year deal, holding down NFL duties, NBA coverage, and practically every major ESPN event under the sun, suddenly loses his on-air equal of nearly a decade in a blink. Molly's gone. No farewell show, no best of montage, no slow fade out, just gone. Even ESPN's top executive admitted on the record that her exit timeline caught everyone off guard. So how does that happen at the most tightly managed network in sports? And then comes Stephen's chilling on-air tease, the line that stopped everyone cold.
Whether she goes to FS1 or launches her own show on YouTube, I wish Molly Qerim nothing but the best. I don't want to see her fail, but at the same time, I don't see a path to success. It is hard to build an audience by yourself. It's hard to build and sustain an audience when it's just you.
Do I have an idea? Of course I do. Am I going to share it with you? No. That right there said more than any corporate press release ever could. It was smug, deliberate, and heavy with implication, as if the man with all the power wanted us to know he was holding cards we'd never see. Behind all the emotional tributes and executive spin, one truth was becoming impossible to deny. This story was far from over. Because before Molly's chair was even cold, ESPN dropped a brand new headline. Malika Andrews inks a multi-year deal. She's just 30, talented, and already one of the network's rising stars. To the public, it looked like a celebration, a passing of the torch. But to industry insiders, it reeked of strategy. One woman out, another woman announced the same day. The timing was too precise to be coincidence. Behind closed doors, whispers spread fast. Was Malika Andrews being positioned as the next face of First Take? Was ESPN quietly reshuffling their top deck while pretending nothing was wrong? Many observers saw it as corporate chess at its finest. One piece removed, another advanced, all while Stephen A's influence stretched wider than ever. Inside Bristol headquarters, the mood was tense. Official statements repeated the same lines. No controversy here, nothing unusual, just new opportunities. But from the outside, it looked like a carefully staged takeover. Stephen A's paycheck exploded, his airtime tripled, and his co-host of nearly 10 years disappeared overnight. Power was shifting, and the pattern was undeniable. Even as ESPN tried to sell the Andrews deal as a feel-good moment, fans weren't buying it. The contrast was too sharp, the timing too perfect. One morning, Molly's exit shocks the audience. The next morning, a shiny press release drops, filled with smiles and corporate buzzwords. Viewers saw through it instantly, calling it damage control with confetti. The illusion of smooth transition was shattered, and social media turned into a battlefield of speculation. And the backlash didn't just come from fans. It came from within the sports media world too.
A lot of times, some of these things happen, and it's just uncomfortable to see. The details, quite frankly, are none of y'all business. But it's not as if I know all the details. It was a contract negotiation that was going on. ESPN certainly did not want to lose her. But in the end, she made a decision.
Emmanuel Acho, a former ESPN insider, lit up Mad Dog Sports Radio with a scorching take. He accused Stephen A of playing both sides, pretending not to know why Molly left, while dropping just enough breadcrumbs to keep the drama alive. Don't tell us the details, then tell us you're not going to tell us the details, Acho snapped, breaking down Stephen's cryptic delivery like a coach dissecting film. He called out the performance for what it was, a blend of stagecraft and spin, designed to keep Stephen A looking like the loyal friend while protecting the brand. It didn't sound like confusion, Acho said. It sounded like control. And that's the moment the story shifted from gossip to game of power. Because when the face of ESPN starts playing coy, when the company rushes to replace a top talent overnight, and when every answer feels scripted, you know something bigger is happening behind those glossy studio lights. He said she abruptly resigned. That's a detail, critics repeated again and again. Then he says, don't ask me the details, because it's none of our business. But also, I don't know the details. The contradiction was glaring. Stephen A's wordplay wasn't smooth. It was calculated. His cagey statements echoed what many industry veterans were already whispering. This wasn't about protecting Molly Qerim's privacy. It was about protecting himself. If there was more to the story, Stephen A. wanted to look loyal while keeping his hands clean. He wasn't just dodging gossip, he was insulating his empire. Because underneath this messy exit sat a deeper question. How much of ESPN's chaos revolved around him? His $20 million salary? His power over casting? His expanding control over what and who gets airtime? That kind of influence doesn't come without fallout, especially for the people working beside him. And long before Molly's exit, cracks were already visible on air. The now infamous eating joke incident became a flashpoint. Live on First Take, Stephen A. poked fun at Molly's off-camera habit of snacking during breaks. His joke: you can ask Molly to do a lot of things, but asking her to fast and not eat, that's going to be a problem for her. The audience laughed, but Molly's expression said everything. Her reply was sharp and immediate. Adult woman, proud of it, not a little girl. Boom! The tension hit the room like a slap. That exchange wasn't just awkward banter. It exploded online within hours. Clips went viral. Fans calling Stephen out for crossing a line. Social media filled with outrage, accusing him of turning friendly teasing into something personal and condescending. X threads lit up with criticism. Power's gone to his head. He talks to her like a prop. Imagine working next to that energy every day. The backlash grew so intense that some even demanded ESPN address it publicly. And while the network stayed silent, fans began drawing a line between the jokes on air and the power imbalance off it. To many, this wasn't an isolated moment, it was symptomatic. A glimpse into how difficult it might have been for Molly to share space with the most protected, most powerful man in sports media. As Stephen A.'s empire expanded, Monday Night Football, NBA coverage, endless guest spots, everyone else around him started to look more replaceable. And when your co-host is the highest paid voice in the building, even a decade of loyalty can vanish in an instant. Rumors started swirling fast. Was Molly pushed out? Was it Stephen's growing dominance that made staying impossible? Was the network bending too much to his demands? Some insiders claimed her exit wasn't just about career change. It was self-preservation. When one man becomes too big for the brand, others have to move out of the way. Viewers who'd watched First Take for years noticed it too. The energy had shifted. The chemistry that once grounded the show started feeling like a performance under tension. It's no wonder people began asking whether Molly saw the writing on the wall. But while the headlines focused on boardroom politics and social media chaos, few talked about something even more human: Molly's ongoing battle with endometriosis. Over the years, she's spoken openly about living with the chronic illness, enduring painful flare-ups and surgeries, all while showing up every day on live television with a calm smile. She's described the exhaustion, the unpredictability, the toll it takes, not just physically, but emotionally. And that context changes everything, because maybe it wasn't just the corporate games or the power imbalance that drove her decision. It was also a matter of health, dignity, and limits. Working alongside one of the most demanding personalities in media while battling a chronic condition, that's a fight few could sustain. So while ESPN's official line paints her exit as a simple choice for new opportunities, the truth looks far messier. Between the blurred boundaries, the viral tension, and the silent struggles, Molly's goodbye starts to feel less like a career move and more like an act of survival in a world built to orbit one man's spotlight. For a lot of viewers, Molly Qerim's openness about her struggles made her real in a world that often feels fake. It reminded people that beneath the flawless makeup and bright studio lights was someone battling pain, exhaustion, and challenges that never made the highlight reel. Hosting First Take isn't some easy desk job. It's a mental and emotional marathon. The debates don't stop, the cameras don't wait, and the headlines never sleep. And yet, through it all, Molly kept showing up, smiling, sharp, composed. That alone was a quiet act of strength few truly recognized. This isn't to say her exit was caused by her health, but it does reveal how much she had been carrying behind the scenes. Unlike Stephen A., whose every conflict and contract negotiation became public drama, Molly fought her toughest battles in private. Hospital visits, sleepless nights, early mornings where she had to pull it all together before the cameras rolled. Her job wasn't just to moderate debates, it was to manage energy, timing, and tempers. Imagine doing that while managing chronic pain that drains your focus and patience. Every contract meeting, every heated exchange on air, every new demand from management, she faced it while fighting through fatigue most people never saw. Her resilience became invisible because she made it look easy. That's why her sudden goodbye hits differently when you look closer. Walking away from ESPN wasn't just a business move, it was a deeply personal decision. For someone who's given nearly 2 decades to the network, stepping back wasn't about quitting, it was about reclaiming control. After years of putting the job, the audience, and the network first, maybe she finally decided it was time to put herself first. It's a stark contrast to Stephen A. Smith, who keeps rising higher, taking on more shows, more airtime, more control. As his empire expands, Molly's decision feels like the opposite, a bold refusal to let the machine consume her. While Stephen grows more untouchable, she steps away from the chaos entirely. That takes guts. In the noise of hot takes and gossip, this part often gets lost. But it might be the most human piece of the whole saga, the quiet strength of walking away instead of burning out. Of course, ESPN tried its best to keep things tidy. Burke Magnus, the network's president of content, kept repeating the same talking points in every interview. They wanted her to stay. They offered her other opportunities. They just had different visions. He hammered the line that her exit was amicable. No drama, no secret scandal, no shoe waiting to drop. It was all very corporate, very polished, very controlled. But outside those polished press releases, skepticism only grew louder. Fans and pundits couldn't ignore the odd timing. If everything was so routine, why did the story leak before ESPN's official announcement? Why did Molly's own farewell statement end with a cryptic "stay tuned"? And why did Stephen A., for all his emotional tributes, never once address the real moments that had fueled public tension? The eating joke, the awkward exchanges, the viral clips that fans still dissected frame by frame. He stayed silent on all of it. That silence created a vacuum. And in that vacuum, speculation thrived. Were there power struggles behind the scenes? Was there unspoken friction between the two stars? Was Molly's departure the cost of keeping one megastar happy and unchallenged? Those questions kept spinning, and ESPN's rehearsed statements did nothing to slow them down. All this was unfolding as ESPN faced its own identity crisis. The network that once ruled sports television was now fighting on multiple fronts: streaming wars, layoffs, declining cable numbers, and viral controversies that spread faster than any official statement could control. In that environment, Stephen A's growing dominance looked like both a blessing and a risk. From one angle, it made sense. Lean on your most bankable star. Let him take the spotlight. Keep the ratings high. But from another, it looked dangerous. When one man becomes too powerful to challenge, the entire structure starts to tilt around him. And that's exactly what many saw happening after Molly's exit. The balance was gone, and cracks were showing. Fans felt it instantly. The chemistry that once made First Take electric now felt off balance. Each new episode seemed to carry a ghost, the empty seat that once grounded the chaos. The rotating guest moderators only made it more obvious. No one could replace her energy. And maybe that's the real story behind all the spin. Molly's departure wasn't just another network shuffle. It was a warning, a reminder that even in the glittering world of sports TV, there's a cost to unchecked power, and sometimes the bravest move isn't fighting to stay, it's choosing to leave. Executives can spin it however they want. Just business. Nothing unusual. But the timing tells another story. Malika Andrews' shiny new deal dropping right as Molly walked out, the sudden wave of corporate statements, the silence from Smith, the chatter across sports radio, it all screamed that something deeper was simmering beneath the surface. There was no way this was coincidence, not with the stakes this high. Now, as ESPN charges forward into its so-called new era, one truth can't be ignored. Stephen A. Smith has never been more powerful. He's demanding nearly $20 million a year, calling his own shots, and watching executives shuffle talent just to keep his empire protected. Behind the smiles and slogans, the network is bending to one man's orbit. Rumors are flying that he wants Molly back, or worse, that he wants to control the narrative of her departure so it fits neatly into his legacy. Meanwhile, fans and insiders can't shake the feeling that she didn't just leave. She was pushed. Whether it was Stephen's expanding dominance, a company culture obsessed with star power, or simply the toll of fighting uphill every single day, her exit feels less like a resignation and more like a surrender to a system that rewards ego over empathy. Now, First Take stands at a crossroads. Is this the rise of a media dynasty, or the quiet beginning of its downfall? Has Stephen A. truly become the king of sports television, or is his growing power about to consume the very show that made him? The tension is thick, the questions louder than ever, and the audience can feel that the next chapter won't stay hidden for long. So, what do you think? Was Molly Qerim forced out? Or is this just another cold business move in the ESPN machine? Drop your thoughts below. Because however this shakes out, one thing's for sure, the next move in Stephen A. Smith's kingdom is going to make headlines, and maybe even history.